pretty hard to have bad posture when your body will check you.
Oh, it will. I'm feeling it right now. Yep, that's a true story.
Yeah, and if you want to cushion your thing, if you want to put a blanket around that or anything, if you want to grab it.
All right. Thanks for tuning in to Let's Talk Patrick podcast, one of the realest podcasts in the world, the land, the galaxy, the whole entire universe. I am back. This is your guy, P. Thriller, a.k.a. Patrick. I have a special guest. She's a yoga instructor. Give it up for Kate Laviolette. Am I correct?
Yes.
All right.
That's correct.
Awesome. So how's everything going on this Saturday?
It's going great. I already taught a few classes.
Awesome.
Pretty happy.
Yeah. Was it a big turnout or what?
Yeah, it was a good turnout.
Yeah.
I had conditioning and aerial conditioning, and then a grounded balance yoga class focused on kind of balancing mind, body, spirit.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So what got you to doing yoga in the first place? What is your reasoning?
Ooh, my own health. I was a less than ideal gymnast and cheerleader with bad mechanics and not the best coaches. So I had a lot of injuries starting to manifest in high school. And it continued and progressed through college, but my spine was pretty much trashed by the time I was 15. And I had to kind of learn ways to deal with it. It wasn't until college that I found yoga, and it was like a 1-credit kinesiology class that I got to take. And at the time I had cyclical vomiting and migraines all the time, and my back hurt all the time. And I didn't really know why, and the doctors didn't really know why. And in that 1-credit class, we did a 2-week segment on yoga, and it took my pain from like a 9 or an 8, like where it was really hard to pay attention, really hard to take in information, down to a 5. And I was immediately like, I am dedicating my life to this because I can actually function again. And that's kind of all she wrote. I started working for the college, and they had a program where you could volunteer your time, and they would help you pay for all your certifications. And I just dove head first to learn everything I could about how to get your mind, your body, and your spirit kind of on the same page instead of working against each other and not understanding what was happening within you, because we have way more control over how we respond to things than we're ever led to believe. And I came from a very Western-minded medical family.
Oh.
Lots of surgeons, lots of nurses, nurse practitioners, doctors. And so the yoga world was quite on the fringe. And I was like, why don't people know this magic? And then because I was the person with the spinal conditions and the weird neurology and all the funny things going on, I wanted to help people with that. So I just dove head first.
Well, that's amazing. I meant to say this before when I introduced you. I meant to say you are instructor at Live Beyond Limit, right? Mm-hmm. That's what it's called. Live Beyond Limit in Fort Collins, Colorado. That is correct. But yeah, that's pretty amazing. So do your family, do they think it's some type of like witchcraft? Because some people do.
No, I think coming in from having such a conundrum of medical experiences and not being able to be helped by the medical community and seeing how impactful it has been on my life, they're all on board. And my mom practices yoga. My sister will sometimes do yoga. My dad will listen to what I have to say, but not necessarily practice. But if he has something going on, he'll ask me how to help himself, and we'll apply the more therapeutic side of the yoga to his own life to see results. And I think I don't just how I got into it. They realize like how in depth and how supportive it is. So it doesn't clash with any of their ideology or philosophy. And if anything, it just helps bring them closer to themselves and their spirituality, which is pretty awesome. I'm pretty lucky that way. Not everybody's family is so supportive.
That is very true. So where are you from originally?
I grew up in Williamsburg, Virginia.
Okay.
So, and I moved out here in 2011.
Okay, so you've been here a year before I came.
Yeah.
Yeah, I came in 2012.
What brought you out?
Oh.
Different conversation.
No, I'm cool. A woman brought me out here.
Nice.
Yeah,
nice.
we was dating for a while, and I'm still here.
Yeah, I got you where you needed to
Yeah,
be.
yeah. I mean, I enjoy it.
That's awesome.
I was gonna move back to Atlanta once upon a time, but then when I went back, I said, you know what, I'm not even the same person who I once was. You know, because I'm so open to like different things, and I like going hiking. I like yoga, and yeah, I met you through the yoga group.
Yeah, exactly.
and it was cool because you had a free session, and then y'all had free Reiki and card readings and massages.
Yep,
which is pretty cool.
Yeah. So I'm the owner of Live Beyond Limit, and one of our main goals is to have community experiences where people can come out and kind of no risk try things, so that they can see if it's the right modality for them to get connected and be supportive. It's the right community for them. So I'm glad that you came out because now we're having this conversation.
Absolutely, indeed. And then plus, I like yoga just because it helped me become more centered.
Yeah.
It helps me calm down. Because sometimes because I've done therapy before, and sometimes you need more than just therapy.
Yeah, I feel like therapy is very much for your mental body and for the intellectual side of ourselves, but that's not how experience and memory and emotion work. So yoga kind of ties it all in and helps us make sense of everything, if that makes sense.
Right.
Yeah.
So how is the yoga business in general, since there are like multiple studios around? Like, is it pretty competitive?
I feel like every studio has a slightly different demographic. We specialize in therapeutics and adaptive work, and small, intimate classes. Whereas a lot of the studios in town have much larger classes. They're a little more focused on strength and like a more vinyasa style or a more power style, which we do have those classes, but we really want people to be able to be met where they are and with whatever conditions they have, and then move forward from there. So our teachers vary a little bit in that they have a lot of education to be able to work with all the weird things coming in. So yes, there are a ton of yoga studios in Fort Collins. I think there's literally more opening every few months.
Yes, I agree with that.
But I feel like, we all do something a little different. We're all reaching to different aspects of the community and meeting those needs. So, yoga really should be for anyone. And, it's definitely a different culture post-COVID. Everything I think is like building back up to the same kind of community engagement that it was pre-COVID. We all took a pretty significant hit during that, but we moved to this location, our new location last year, and we've just grown exponentially. So I don't feel like competition is. I like cooperation and collaboration more than a competitive mindset.
So do all you guys know each other? What, women, men? Yeah.
More or less.
Okay.
I'm connected to a lot of the different owners on social media. I haven't actually met all of the other owners in person, but we all are friendly.
Supportive.
Yeah, we're all supportive. We're all friendly.
I guess it's enough for everybody, right?
There should be enough for everybody. Like, it's just your mindset.
So let me ask you this: so, would you say you specialize more into like, I guess, repair, like building? Let's say like I have back injury, right? You pretty much specialize in, I guess, like light duty type yoga, if that makes sense. So what's the proper name for that?
So I'm a yoga therapist.
Right.
So I do personally specialize in working with like prehab and rehab and helping people learn how to not be afraid of their bodies and be empowered. But I'm also an aerial yoga teacher and an aerialist, and I teach aerial arts as well. So I can give people quite the strength engagement for where they're at. So ideally in our teacher training program, our goal is to be able to meet whoever's in our class and give them an option for where they're at. So if you have a back injury and you need adaptations to be able to access your core and use proper mechanics, we'll keep you at maybe option 1 or option 2. But other people in that class should be able to maybe take option 3 or 4 for their balance strength wherever they are at in their practice. Everything's very scalable. So while I do specialize in the therapeutics, I also was a personal trainer for a decade.
Really?
Yeah. Like,
Where?
I worked at Miramont here,
Okay.
and then I worked at William and Mary, the College of William and Mary in Virginia. So when I moved out, there was this other little studio called Become Fit, and then I don't think they're in business anymore. And then I moved over to Miramont, but I specialize in like functional training. I can always do a good weight workout too, or machine workout, but I really want people to be embodied in their bodies and like knowing how badass our bodies are, and how capable they can be even after an injury. It shouldn't limit our capacity for strength and future engagement. But I definitely want to get everything on board. Your muscles working together, our communication chains talking to each other, so people aren't compensating and then having injuries happen later on.
Well, that's what I've been dealing with. Yeah,
it's really easy to do.
It is.
You know, our body has so many like built-in compensations, and certain muscle groups are like happy to do the job of everything else. And so, you know, a lot of my clients, they'll have gone to PT, they'll have gone to, you know, corrective specialists, but if that practitioner isn't making sure that they're actually engaging the right things and that the recruitment's actually happening through the entire myofascial chain, it can be, you know, temporary or more harm than good.
Right.
So my goal is to make sure that everything's working together, from the brain down and from the body back up, so that feedback loop is a positive one and not leading to some weakness in the chain that will then turn into an injury.
Right. Yeah, that makes sense. So do you like yoga, teaching yoga more than personal training in some ways?
Yes,
Okay.
because I feel like the clients that come for yoga want the entire mind, body, spirit connection. And I feel like in my experience with personal training clients, they want the fitness, which fitness is great and you do need the mindset for it. But I feel like often those clients don't want like the bigger picture, as far as like their whole self well-being. And I have a very hard time having my clients separate their like lifestyle and like mindset about things outside of training from what we do in the studio. I really want both of those highly integrated. So I just feel like the mindset's a little different when you approach it. But personal training is great if you, personal training is fabulous. But I definitely went away from working in a gym environment just because of the culture, I guess. That makes sense.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Is it like kind of negative in some ways or toxic?
My experience with personal training was, definitely toxic. It's why I started. It's why I started the yoga studio, or my studio, because the mindset's very quota based, from like top down with management. If you have your own business, you get to set that. But if you're working for another studio or another business, it's very much like getting people through the door and getting like quotas and making sure that it's all about the fitness and it's all about like the training specifically. And I really want people to think about, how does this apply to the rest of your life? What else are you doing in the rest of your life? How can we work more as a community? How can we work together a little bit more and not just be a person that has a paycheck for the business? Your health matters. If something's going on, that matters on a much deeper level. So I just feel like the mindset's a little different in the culture. And then a lot of trainers, I'm sure you've come into trainers that, they know like the more gross motions, and some of them are really great and have the corrective mindset too, but not all training is appropriate for everybody. And you really have to know how to tailor to who you're working with. And that's where niches can come into play. But I prefer the yoga environment.
Yeah.
Or the circus environment.
Yeah.
I really like celebrating people's differences. I had a hard time with like training classes that weren't diversified and trying to get the whole class to do the same thing. Because again, that's not necessarily best for everybody who's in that class. If that makes sense.
Yeah. So there's no ego in yoga from your experience.
There shouldn't be.
It should be okay.
I definitely, I am not partial to all studios. There are some I feel like that are more ego based or more one mind, like one focus, one minded, rather than kind of like humbling yourself to accept where you are and work from there to where you want to be. The journey is the whole like the whole point.
Right.
Yeah, the whole point.
So you ever deal with people who are struggling with mental health issues?
Yes.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Mental health is not separate from physical health. And so, again, I try to get the people who have all the weird stuff happening with their bodies. And that usually comes along with a lot of emotional and mental baggage too, because a physical injury is not just physical. It impacts every aspect of your life,
yes.
which I'm sure you know with your spine.
Oh, yeah.
Being able to do everything that you were able to do before your injury and then having to take a step back and having to really do that nitty gritty rehab work and learn how to use your body on such a deeper level is so important. But it impacts your emotions, it impacts the activities that you can do, it impacts how much energy you even have to get through the day. There's this thing that we use that called spoon theory. Have you heard of that?
No, I have not.
So everybody has a certain number of spoons of energy, so to speak, at the beginning of the day. And some people with physical injury say if the average person has 10 spoons, that person with a physical injury is starting the day with 5. Now, getting out of bed takes a spoon. Showering, brushing your teeth, prepping your breakfast, all of those take spoons. So they get to the halfway point of their day if you have an injury or chronic pain and you're already out of spoons. You're exhausted. Your mind doesn't want to work for you. Your body doesn't want to work for you. You're probably a little irritable or, frustrated or working just your hardest to cope and be present. Whereas other people don't have to quite deal with that. They have energy to get through the whole day and maybe they even get spoons back during the day. And so, my goal is to help people learn how to get more spoons or utilize their energy really wisely so that their 5 spoons take them through their day and they don't start borrowing from the next day and having even bigger backlashes.
Wow, that makes sense. I never even thought about that. Wow.
Yeah.
Interesting.
I can't take credit for that. I'm not exactly sure who came up with spoon theory, but it's a really nice visual and way to get people to kind of understand how a chronic injury or a chronic condition can impact you.
Oh my God. Yeah. I mean, when I was going through, it made me so depressed.
Yes.
It was hard to get through the day sometimes.
Yeah. It's really hard.
I mean, trying to pick up trash, I'm like, oh God, it was
doing laundry.
Yeah, it was bad.
Vacuuming your house.
Putting on socks.
Yeah.
It was debilitating. It was.
Yeah. I been through a few spinal injuries and I mean like leaning over your bed, using your bed so that you can just like hold on while you try to get your pants on.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
Laying down on the ground to pull them on instead. Like things that people don't take into account. But like, you gotta get creative. You gotta figure out how not to irritate that injury even further so that, you can keep going instead of dial back.
So you don't deal with any issues with your back right now, your spine?
No, actually I do. I 4 years ago, about 4 years ago, I had a head injury and 2 spinal injuries from shopping at Bed Bath & Beyond and getting hit in the face by a metal bar that came off the shelf.
What?
It was very charming.
That's Final Destination type shit. Wow.
It definitely came out of nowhere and totally changed my life. I don't know if I was neurodivergent before, but I definitely am after. And it herniated a disc in my neck and in my L spine.
That sounds horrible.
So I had recovered from all of that and I'm really great at doing spinal rehab. But then last May, I was hit on the left side of my vehicle and got a lateral whiplash type injury. And a knee injury that has just kind of made it harder to stabilize. So I'm still working with my own rehab to get all of that back on board. I am a hypermobile individual and I work with them and we just move around a lot. So while it helps us prevent us from breaking bones, we overstretch ligaments. Our body is happy to go anywhere. And it's all about like rebuilding the strength and stability around all of our vulnerable joints that want to move more than they do, or more than ideal for function. So I'm still working a little bit with my neck, and getting my brachial plexus to be happy when I sleep. Sleep is my worst nightmare, because my body will just like overstretch itself at night. But during the day, I'm good. I got no problems. It's just like recovering from sleep. So I'm trying to find the like magic equation to stabilize while I sleep, while I get stronger from that injury, because it definitely changed the chain of communication and led to some, compensations that have to be taken care of. But,
wow.
Yeah.
That sucks.
At least I know how to deal with it.
That's true. Is it worse on some days or?
Yes.
Oh.
I mean, like, I don't drink much alcohol because that just will ruin
inflammation.
Things.
Right?
Inflammation.
Oh,
yeah.
Geez.
Same thing like sugar, blood sugar levels. You just have to be a little more gentle when you're in recovery because the body's a little less resilient. But
so is your diet pretty well overall? Your diet? Okay.
Yeah. I love food. I love food, and I think the head injury really taught me how to nurture myself, and it definitely taught me about like female physiology and hormones a lot better because I basically was dealing with intense neuroinflammation, and that changes how everything works in your body and how your hormones communicate in your body, how your cycle works in your body, all of that. And so I had to learn how to cycle sync and learn how to use my energy wisely through the month and recalibrate. And food is the number one way that you can do that. Managing inflammation, managing blood sugar, really nourishing your physiology, so that you can do the things that you want to do.
So do you ever use turmeric powder?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, with black pepper.
Yeah.
Add the black pepper.
That's what I've been doing too. I do the same. I had bought some pills from Whole Foods. Yeah, and that was very effective.
Yeah, I love turmeric, and a lot of different adaptogens. Maca. Have you ever tried maca?
No.
It's a root. They like ground up into a powder. It's a highly beneficial
inflammatory. Oh, okay.
I'm not an expert on maca, but it has wonderful impacts for both male and female hormones. And it's called an adaptogen. So adaptogens are substances that help your body deal with how it reacts to stress. So if you like naturally have a spike that's like way up here, like a really big spike, an adaptogen in your system will help your body only respond down here so that it's way less intense on the whole hormone system, as well as your entire like inflammatory response. So adaptogens have been like my saving grace. And then really learning different things. CoQ10 was a big one post head injury because I had seizure-like activity, and that one is tied to like we're helping reduce seizure-like activity. Omegas have been really big because they help our nerves function appropriately. And then just learning to eat with my hormones. For me, I had excess estrogen afterwards. My body was really bad at detoxing estrogen, and so my like progesterone to estrogen levels were off. And like fiber was like one of the number one things that you can do to get rid of excess estrogen. So upping my fiber intake a little more than what I usually did was really, really impactful for me. So there are a lot of different things that I do with food and diet to make sure that my body is happy.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
So powerful.
So do you buy those things at the grocery store, or you can go to vitamin shop or something?
Yeah. Okay. Natural Grocers is my like go-to local store for supplementation, but I tend to try to get it from food now that I'm not as in such a chronic state. So I try to add it to my cooking. I try to work with my body a little bit more. I do much more food like warm than I did before, just because my body's already working hard. And when you have like cold and raw food, you have to work harder to process it and digest it. Facts. So I tend to try to get it from whole foods, the best that it like whole actual foods, not the store, the best that I can, just because it's like a little more bioavailable. But there are some that I will supplement on, particularly in higher stress.
Is it organic?
I like organic foods the best. I actually went on a vacation and had to like have all synthetic. The house was like polyester sheets, and just like the food that was available was all conventional. And my body is so sensitive. I have this thing called like mast cell activation syndrome, where I have like extreme histamine responses.
Really?
To like not natural things. So I actually just like finished dealing with hives from having to like be around all of that food and all of those substances. I'm way more resilient than I used to be post injury, with the inflammation responses, but a lot of people don't know that they have that. And mast cell activation syndrome is like basically a cell danger response. So when your body is exposed to things that it can't handle, again, you don't have the spoons to handle, it can like freak out and have a bigger response than you should have, and then you have to dial back. So a lot of things are different than pre-injuries, but I go back to my organic, happy little lifestyle that I've created, and my body does fine.
Yeah.
And it's way more resilient. After that injury, I mean, like I would just someone would bring in like a scented candle that had fragrance instead of whatever, and then my whole body would like start hiving out, and I'd just panic and have like a panic attack, and because it just couldn't handle it. But now it's a lot more resilient.
Wow. Did you go to the dermatologist for that, or you just figured it out?
No, I did the research myself. Honestly, I wasn't. It was a litigation experience with the head injury, so I had to do like the medical help, but none of them really helped. Again, I got some like little bit of good feedback, and my occupational therapist and my speech and cognitive therapist were like the most helpful post injury. But nobody had any like answers for why I was having these. And I think it's just because it's such a niche field in the medical industry. There are people who specialize in it, but by the time I realized what was happening, I already had learned how to deal with it. So I didn't seek that specialty, because you have to like drive to Denver to go see, or like Longmont to go see the mast cell activation syndrome people. And in like neurology, they just said, oh, you have chronic pain syndrome. You're just going to have centralized sensitization for like ever, you're just dealing with PCS, post-concussion syndrome. And they just like kind of brush it off. And you're like, no,
wow,
I don't feel like my body should be responding this violently to everything. And for me, I also was like, if any nerve was compressed, even with light pressure, then the whole branch would go numb. And, I was like, there's something deeper happening, which is why I really like the weird people, because like neuroinflammation is a huge thing, and you can overtreat it and make it so much worse, or you can listen to the why and start to create that resilience in your system. And that's my goal.
Wow.
And it was kind of fun because my business is called Live Beyond Limit. So like, that's my whole philosophy. You figure out what the limit is, what the goal, where you're like stuck, and then you figure out how you live beyond it and how you make life awesome regardless of it.
I like that. That makes sense now.
Yeah.
Okay. I was going to ask you about that too. Well, not now, but I was going to ask you down the road, but you answered it for me.
Yeah.
That is amazing.
Yeah. I so many people with like an injury or spinal condition are like, oh, I can't do this. I can't do that. I don't want to feel this. I don't want to feel that. I'm like, well, what can you do? What do you want? What feels good? Like, there's still a million things in the world that we can access even while going through a limitation. And oftentimes that limit actually opens up so much more of your life than before it ever happened. So for me, maybe didn't enjoy all the moments of my journey, but
Of course not.
quite grateful for the knowledge that's come out of it and the community that I've built from it, and all the people. And like, you came here because you had a spinal injury.
Yep.
And you were like, oh, I can try a class. That won't hurt me.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
You know,
it was good.
Yeah. And
I
now
enjoyed
it's like such a great network, and like being able to meet awesome, amazing people with like crazy impactful stories and inspirational stories. And I wouldn't turn it over for anything.
Nah, it's amazing. I see. The reason why I want to do this too, because I want men to see that it's nothing wrong with doing yoga.
No,
because some men, not all. I mean, I think some are coming around to it, but it's still a lot of them. They think it's gay or whatever. I'm like, nah, it's a natural thing. At least to me, it is.
Well, and originally, men were the ones who did yoga, and it wasn't a woman-oriented thing. Like, we've taken it over in the media, but it was originally done by men. And that's one of the reasons that I kept going through it, is when I was at William and Mary, you know, it was like the big weightlifters and, you know, whatever that kind of scoffed it. And like, admittingly, I kind of challenged their masculinity and tried to get them into my class.
Damn.
And they like literally would like cuss me out under their breath, because it's way harder to use that functional strength and hold things for a long time, and not just use fast twitch or power engagement, but to like learn how to use your entire range of motion and learn how to breathe through the challenging things. And that's like the best thing off the mat too, is learning how to breathe through the challenging things. And be able to leverage your strength in a very different way.
Absolutely.
You know, and it's just, I mean, the results are undeniable. There's just research study after research study that shows how impactful adding yoga and mindfulness to your life impacts anxiety, stress, depression, chronic pain, sleep, insomnia, like all the way across the board. There are no negatives to yoga unless you do it wrong and hurt, you know, don't like, or using the wrong things. But even then, with the mental health benefits, like, it's undeniable.
Oh no, exactly. That's what I did like months ago. Before I came to your class, I had overextended my back a little too far.
Yeah.
And I had to take time away from it.
Yeah.
Just because I couldn't even like go to work for a couple of days.
Yeah. Yeah. And like learning, there's a very fine line of like learning what capacity you have, both in the moment and afterwards.
Right.
Because warm bodies move way deeper than cool bodies.
Yes.
And you have to like really pay attention to how you can adapt and kind of temper your practice to support your cool body. And you're not completely primed and ready to go, because very few times in your life are you like, hold on, let me do a 10-minute warm up. We'll be good.
Right. Yep.
Like,
that is facts.
Yeah, that's why most people like they injure themselves tying their shoe or picking some random thing up off the floor.
Or sneezing.
Yeah, or sneezing. It's not our warm body that we really have to worry about. It's the cool body that we have to worry about.
Yeah. So do you do the hot tub?
I love the hot tub.
Those are nice. I love them.
I am, because my injuries have been like nervous system oriented and nerve oriented. Like cold therapy is not ideal for me. The warm therapy is 100% where it's at. Yeah, I use like heated pads. I like warm my body. I love the hot tub. It's just the best.
It is. Yeah. I love it too. When I was dealing with my stuff, I did the hot tub a lot. Yeah. I was able to stretch my legs out a lot more, and you just try to decompress my spine a little bit as well.
Yeah, we need to get you into aerial yoga.
Really?
Yep. It's what helped stabilize my spine after my my head injury and the neck and low back injury.
Is it here in this building?
Yep.
Really?
It's here in this building.
Okay.
We use an aerial hammock to support the body. It's a yoga practice. There's circus hammock and sling, but aerial yoga is a yoga practice that uses a aerial hammock to basically provide support, allow for weightless inversions, allow for decompression, and a much deeper core engagement than you can access on the ground. I think it's unmatched for the aerial work to be able to both elongate and access the things that we need to access to stabilize our spines. Is it for everyone with the right coach? But I wouldn't throw like a fresh spinal injury into it. If you've kind of worked through things, it's amazing and therapeutic. And working one-on-one with someone who knows what they're doing is really helpful, because like you get to put the fabric underneath your rib cage and shoulder blades and then just like decompress and hang without having to do like the captain's chair engagement. Or you can do that type of engagement with your upper body and teach your lower body how to. Or you can hold yourself by your pelvis and get upside down. And it's like, it's not free. Well, we do have donation classes, but it's decompression. It's like getting traction at the PT, but on an aerial hammock. Way more accessible than paying $100 pop, and just learning how to elongate, relax, not compensate. And then you can also hold yourself on your shoulders and get completely upside down, which is unmatched for cervical injuries. It's awesome.
Okay, I have to try that. What days do you offer that?
Every day.
Really? 7 days a week?
7 days a week we have classes.
Okay.
I personally teach aerial yoga Tuesday mornings and evenings. Wednesday morning. Okay. Thursday mornings and evenings, and then Sunday. Those are my classes, but you can see me on the schedule.
I'll have to look into that. Yeah. Because I want to try that.
Yeah. I think awesome.
I think it'd be beneficial. You got me sold.
Yeah, good. Well, it's awesome because you like aerial yoga, and I'm clearly biased, but you get the yoga practice, but the hammock provides like myofascial release and like, again, that somatic or like kind of how your body manages stress and experiences and emotions. The somatic relief and experiencing, it gets you really present in what you're doing. So it's like really hard to not be where you are, where I think people who have a grounded practice and have been doing it for a while, it's kind of easier to get distracted or to like compartmentalize where you're at. Whereas when we're adding in the dynamic of the hammock, it kind of requires you to bring yourself to center and learn how to manipulate your body through and around things. So it's like yoga, but with some really nice benefits.
Wow. Okay. Yeah. Well, I'm sold. I got to do it.
Yeah.
I gotta do it for sure. Yeah, I gotta try it because like I said, with my back been okay for the most part, but recently it been inflamed a little bit.
Yeah, and we work with the bandhas. Have you learned about those yet?
No, I have not. No.
So the bandhas,
it gets deep, don't it?
It gets really deep.
Jesus,
it's so
okay.
Cool. But the bandhas are different. They're energetic supports through your body that have physical correlations. And so we learn how to like really work with the pelvic floor, really work with the diaphragm and the core, and work with the cervical flexors and neck muscles to create space and allow your energy to flow better. Both nervous system, if we want to look at the physical aspects, but also the bigger electromagnetic field that we put off. So we really have to access those things in a much bigger way when we're doing things in the air and using a little more strength, or leveraging our legs in different ways by pushing down through your thigh on the fabric so you can lift out of other places. It's really neat.
Interesting.
Yeah, I encourage anyone to try it. Now there is like this strong debate. I am a purist. I think an aerial yoga practice should be a yoga practice with an aerial hammock. You will see aerial yoga online that's like totally L2 circus sling, and it's like crazy. They don't use mats, they do flips, they do drops, and you're like, what are you doing? That is no way yoga.
That's like gymnastics.
It is. Yeah. Yes, it's acrobatics. It's aerial dance, it's acrobatics, and it's like really cool. But our aerial technique classes are very different than our aerial yoga classes, and I feel like there are a few programs and a lot of social media representation that's really showing like circus sling versus aerial yoga. I think that the yoga should always have that holistic mindset, and not what hardcore things can we always active. Like, how hard can we push? What crazy things can we do? How flashy can we be? Like, those are cool. They are. And we totally teach it. We perform it. We have fun with it, but different mindsets.
So I was going to kind of backtrack now because you talked about your brain injury.
Mm-hmm.
So how were you? Well, how was Kate before the brain injury? What was Kate like at that time?
Let's see. Again, I'd say that I was either a great masker or I was very neurotypical and very organized and very good at doing everything, which I knew that I needed to delegate more and learn how to be better at delegation, particularly as a business owner and practitioner, with both full practices. But I was really happy. I was really functional. I don't know. I did a lot of things. And now I highly value the dial back. I have less spoons now than I did before. I still do all the same things. I just have a lot more help to do them. And I do them a little less than I used to. I used to thrive on movement and, 5-6 hours a day was awesome. Now I'm like, let's keep it at 3. And now my brain functions a lot better doing movement in the second half of the day if I need to have the cognitive function than if I do it in the first half. If I do my movement in the first half, then my brain's a little foggier, a little less resource oriented later in the day. So I know if I have a heavy morning of clients or movement that I'm going to have a really chill afternoon and evening. Whereas before I could just do whatever I want when I wanted, and it was great.
Wow. So the change is that obvious.
Oh, yeah.
Shit.
Big obvious. I'm also highly emotional. Now, my dad had a nickname for me and my mom, like the Wailing Women. We were always emotional, but like anytime we'd say goodbye, like it would always be like total waterworks.
Oh,
and
Lord.
now, like anything will bring me to tears. Like, anything will bring me to tears, whether it's a nice thing or a sad thing or a cute thing or whatever. Like my limbic system was definitely strongly impacted by the injury. And you just got to honor your emotions and honor that process so it doesn't like get stuck. That was a really hard thing to do. And again, I had a lot of neuroinflammation, so I had a lot of like panic attacks and a lot of like too much. Everything was too much. And so learning to manage that energy, learning to process everything in a very different way. Because before my go-to would be like, okay, cool, let's meditate for an hour and deal with whatever came up. Whereas now and after the injury, like I don't have that tolerance, which is very common in trauma, where like if you try to go too far in or stay too far in, it can actually be more inflammatory than helpful. So you kind of like have to titer. So pre-injury, I used to do these awesome ceremonies, which were like giant sound baths and experiences. And like the volume would be like really high and it would rattle through you and it would be like pretty awesome. And I could be a student of them or I could lead them. Whereas now I do the sound baths, but I can't be a student of them yet without them being highly dysregulating. So it's like kind of learning tolerance and learning to respect my new limits, which are growing bigger every day. But well, yes, my capacity is growing more to be able to tolerate different things. But I need to like be engaged when dealing with sound a lot more now than I used to be. I used to be able to just like sit and absorb it all. Now I need to do something called stimming. Have you heard that? So just I need to move. I need to like let my body process it in a different way rather than be like fully still. So there are significant changes.
I can't even tell. Like you just seem to be okay to me.
Thanks. Yeah. I definitely have gotten my capacity way back. My working memory was horrible. I mean, twice in a row the same week I ran into my garage door because I forgot it wasn't up yet.
Really?
You know, like they were just like horrible. Like burning so many things on the stove. I'm like surprised we didn't burn our house down. Like luckily I have a great family that's helped me with so many things, but like just not having that attention or capacity to be there, like in your brain after head injury. What happens with concussion is it stretches the myelin sheath around all like the axons or like your neural connections. And so you might be like thinking one thing or you're trying to think one thing, but that propagation or that like conduction goes somewhere else. So like it can be so infuriating and dysregulating because you're like trying so hard to do one thing and your brain just keeps doing other things. But again, I was really blessed with the attitude of live beyond limit before my head injury. So I kind of took it in stride and have used a lot of humor to deal with it. And you know, I had a really good bag of tricks to work with. The hardest part for me was working with a neurofeedback practitioner that wasn't that great, like didn't have the right education to work with a brain injury, and realized that the treatments were just creating more problems for me. So I found a neuropsychologist that helped me realize like you're over treating yourself. Like you really need to dial everything back. Because the Western world wants you to do therapies. They want you to go to appointments every time. Like they want you to just go. Like you have no resources. So you're just throwing like fuel on the fire. At least for me, that's what was happening. And so for me, dialing back and really tailoring to vestibular and limbic system work. So working with my balance system of where you are in space was like really, really impactful because I had some damage to that system. And if your body doesn't know where it is in space, it's going to be anxious. You're going to have panic attacks. That's like our prime survival system. And like learning how to work with that was pivotal.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, you came a long way from what I can see.
Thanks. Yeah. It's all really been the last year and a half since I saw that neuro.
That is pretty soon. Well, not soon, but that's pretty recent.
Yeah, I would say that the previous 3 years, we would have had a very different conversation.
Damn. Yeah, I'm sure.
It was very challenging to keep the business running during COVID with the head injury and not lose my mind. Like I said, my dog literally was like my saving grace.
She's a good dog.
She's a great dog. Yeah. She does her jobs very well.
Yeah, see.
And then she's like the unofficial therapy dog for the whole studio now. Even the jiu-jitsu guys in our studio will come over and be like, can we please pet her? Like, yes, that's why she's here, to like help everybody feel loved. And
she is so cool. She has good energy about herself. Well, this whole building has good energy, but she has really good energy.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's infectious. That's
It is infectious. She's amazing. I can't brag on her enough. I tell her every day, you're a little angel send.
So do you feel like you're a better person today than you were before the injury?
I'd say I'm fundamentally the same person, but I'd say I'm a much better practitioner. I definitely have a broader scope of my practice now, like what I'm comfortable working with, and a lot more depth of information. I'd say that before, I was a yoga therapist. Like I still worked on that adaptive level, but I didn't know why we did a lot of the things we do, and I didn't get to like experience how like important and impactful it was. So yes and no. I feel like it's kind of like a fine wine, you know, just getting better with age. My goal every year is to be a little better, a little more educated, a little more inclusive, a little more integrated.
You're on the right track. I think so. Yeah,
Thanks.
You're doing
That's
it.
my goal.
You're doing it big.
Thank you.
Yeah, give yourself props.
Yeah.
There you go.
Brush it off. You got to.
So what would you tell 18-year-old Kate if you could see her right now?
I would say find the circus community, or find a community that really accepts you for who you are. for me, it's been the aerial and circus community. I mean, like, we just celebrate differences. We celebrate what's unique about each person, and like, work with your brain, Kate. Like, don't work against yourself. You don't have to fit like a mold. Just be who you are, and your mind matters. So like, just really watch your self-talk. It was really, I feel like 18-year-old me it was really easy to see all of the roadblocks and obstacles. And that's actually why we have Ganesha in our studio, because he's the remover of obstacles and the presenter of opportunities. And so like, if you have an obstacle, there are so many opportunities. Like, you can keep slamming yourself into the obstacle, or you can see all the doors that it opened up for you. So like, 18-year-old Kate, like, see the opportunities, quit running into the walls. That would be me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's profound.
Thanks.
So, were you always open-minded like this in general?
Yes, I lost my brother when I was 11, and I kind of raged against all things that were done. Like, I was raised Roman Catholic, and after I lost my brother, I just questioned everything.
My condolences, by the way.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, I kind of raged against everything, and I questioned everyone, and I kind of had that mindset like, okay, let's play devil's advocate. Like, here's this one perspective, but here's this other perspective. And so I always wanted to have that open mindset. I didn't feel like there ever was a perfect answer. Like, what way are we looking at it? There are a million answers for each way that you want to look at it. So yeah, I mean, I was raised a lot more sheltered than I am now. But I think in that experience, it made me really want to not be, and really want to open up to like celebrate everyone, because we should celebrate everyone. Like, we're here to lift each other up. And the world can either be horrible and miserable, or we can make the most of it.
Yeah.
And I like making the most of it.
I know. Are you doing it? Seriously.
Thanks.
I was going to ask, so with your brother passing away, have you dealt with it, or you still dealing with it? Or?
Yeah. So originally, I think I intellectualized it, right? Like that, how we talked about, working with the mind and the intellect. And I was like, everything happens for a reason. And then it was in college, like within a 2-month period, a friend and I were having a coffee chat, and just out of the blue, he says, hey, your brother wants you to know, I forget what it was, but just out of the blue, he didn't know my brother. He didn't know my background or anything. And I was like, whoa. And then like another week later, somebody else reached out and said something about my brother. And then another week later, I had like a Reiki session, and the person didn't know my background and was like, you need to process this about your brother. Like, I don't know what it is, but it's coming up. And I was like, I thought I did all this work, and I didn't. I hadn't. So I have now. And his energy is strong with me. He was my best friend growing up. And so
he was older than you, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
He was 3 years older than me. And I have a sister. She's 5 years older than me, but he and I were definitely way closer. And it took a long time to realize, like, oh yeah, that's still in there. I just kind of froze it and dealt with it in my mind, but didn't deal with it like in how my nervous system took it, and the trauma that it really was. It was an unexpected accident. Nobody saw it coming. And so it was a really sudden, horrible loss. And I just had a happy-go-lucky attitude when I was younger, and everything was always like calm and peaceful. And so it was just like, oh, this thing happened, and you move on. And then it was like, oh, no, you process it.
Yeah.
You really need to process it.
Right.
And so it was kind of a rough few months working with that grief, but I try to bring him into like a lot of the different things that I do. I feel like a lot of those impactful relationships and losses can serve, again, in a lot of different ways. We can stay in the sorrow and like the heaviness of them, or we can kind of grab onto what they brought to our lives and what they gave to us. And that's what I try to do.
Yeah. It's hard, though.
It's so hard.
The void is real.
Yeah. Like when I got married, it was really sad that, my brother wasn't going to be there and standing by me. And I mean, energetically, sure, I knew he'd be around, but there are always things that you're like, if only my brother were here.
Physical, right?
Yeah, like if only my brother could be here for that. But I think it's important to honor those emotions and feel them when they come, so that we don't just shove them down and then have them come out in weird ways.
Oh, that's what happened with me.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I had to do therapy.
Yeah.
Yep. And well, of course, working out. But once the pandemic occurred, everything was shut down, and I was into my thoughts. I was depressed. I was gaining weight and not really feeling like myself at all.
Yeah. And therapy is great. Like being able to talk through it, being able to realize what's there.
Yeah.
It's awesome. It's like so important.
It is.
Yeah.
And like you said, well, like I was saying, the void is real. Like you just, because whenever I go home, I'm reminded about certain things.
Yeah.
And but nowadays I run to it. I don't hide. I'm like, it is what it is. I don't, because I used to like suppress it for many years. I suppressed all this stuff.
Most people do.
And then when my mom had passed, that's when everything started to surface.
Yeah.
And I said, I'm going crazy. I need to talk to somebody.
Yeah.
So that's what I started doing.
That's great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I'm glad you took the initiative to work through your trauma as well. Yeah. Because it's not easy.
It took a few people.
Yeah.
Definitely had me like have to listen to, I think it was like the third person. I was like, oh wow, I really need to do some deeper work here. Like I had no idea.
How was your brother like?
He was into all sorts of shenanigans,
okay.
I guess. He was kind of bullied when he was younger. He had moments of his life when he was like in middle school where he was a little overweight. When he went into high school, he joined cross country and was really dedicated to running, and his friend group became kind of like my older brothers. Once he passed as a freshman. So it wasn't, it was really shocking. It was in 6th grade, but he would play like PlayStation games like Final Fantasy and stuff. And I would just hang out with him for, hours, and we'd just chill. He was really into wrestling. So as the older brother, he totally used me as his,
oh yeah.
As his, hey, let's try this. I'm like, well, I don't know that I'm getting the good end of the stick, Patrick. His name was Patrick too.
Oh, okay. He was cool. Okay.
Yeah, he was awesome. And he and his friends, I felt like it was a little different because he would like invite me along to things instead of be like, oh, that's my little sister. He was very inclusive and like supportive.
He was different because most of us don't do that.
No, they don't. They're like, I don't want my little sister hanging out. She's 3 years younger. We don't want that around. But he and one of his really good friends, who is the same age, he had a sister too, that's my age, and so they would invite us along, and it would be like a pretty lovely situation. But we had a really good relationship. He was a pretty cool person. He definitely was, a dumb teenage boy and did stupid things like paintball the neighborhood boats and have to clean them up, or throw pop, like the little cracker firework things.
Oh yeah, I remember those
out the window, and like scare the crap out of people. But he was a good young man. And I'm lucky. So
how did your parents take it? Well, I know they took it hard, but how are they dealing with that now as time go on?
My mom is very much like me, where we seek outward community and engagement to deal with our feelings of any sort and grief. I think my sister and my father go a little more inward with their emotions and dealing with it. But we try to bring him, like we still celebrate his birthday, and still try to have little rituals to keep him alive and keep that part of our lives honored. And they definitely were very protective for a while. I can't say that my high school years were the most freeing.
Yeah.
And, when I started to want to venture out, they definitely had a lot of fear, I think. But they've come to, embrace it, and embrace, my outward seeking nature, my whatever you call it. So, and realize that they helped me get a good head on my shoulders and that they can trust their parenting. I think they probably had some questions because he had an accident that, nobody saw coming. So he basically made a CO2 cartridge bomb to be a dumb teenager and blow things up, but static electricity blew it up instead. And so I think that they really probably questioned themselves a little bit. I can't really speak for it because I don't know, but just from the outside, I think that's probably why they got really protective for a while. And now they just do their best to celebrate and to honor him. So I feel really blessed because I feel like a lot of parents would shut down and be less available, but they have always been very available and very upfront.
So would you say that your family has gotten closer since that time?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, especially me and my sister. We definitely were like on opposite sides of the spectrum, and afterwards we've come very much together and have a really great relationship. I'm very lucky in my family relationship. My family is very welcoming to all of my friends and to any adventure that I want to try. They're very supportive.
That's amazing.
And like they were just out here for a week and we got a house down in Monument and my family went down and they came out and we just had a great time. But yeah.
Wow, that's pretty impressive. And they live in Virginia, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yep.
So they will be hearing this.
My sister goes back and forth between Virginia and LA. She works for the Army Corps of Engineers as one of their lawyers.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, you said it.
Yeah.
Yep, I forgot about that.
Yeah.
Well, they will be listening, I'm sure.
I'm sure. So I hope you like what I said, Mom, Dad, Mary.
I'm sure they will. Now, that's pretty cool though. So, are you planning on seeing them again in the next like couple of months or next holiday? I guess
we definitely have a trip out east in June. We're going to the Outer Banks in Virginia, not in Virginia, North Carolina. So my husband and I will go out there. My mom often comes every few months, so she'll probably do a March trip, but I'm unsure. Just kind of depends on how things work out. But we see each other pretty frequently. Like Christmas is a mandatory week of fun.
Yes.
That I will not settle on. And I went out for like the end of September, early October. I went out there for a week. And then I'll go back out in June. So we see each other a lot. And then my mom, when she'll do like my online classes and stuff, so I get to see her pretty frequently.
So she support you all the way?
All the way.
Okay.
She's amazing. And she's about to retire. So I'm really excited.
Well, kudos to her.
She wants to help with like our social media and marketing. And
really?
Stuff. She's really cool. She's like, think about all the ways that I can help you once I retire. So
that is pretty cool.
It's amazing. I'm really looking forward to
that's some real support.
Mm-hmm.
You very blessed.
I am very blessed.
That
very
is
blessed.
Amazing.
She works for a peace. They're called the Peace Operation Training Institute. It's a nonprofit that works with like peacekeeping courses all across the globe. And so she works with a lot of different demographics and people. And she does a lot of their social media and their newsletters and like a lot of that work already.
She's deep into it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, a little bit. I mean, it's clearly a very different realm than a yoga, wellness, and aerial studio, but she has some experience that she wants to be able to use to support my business and support my family and what we're trying to do for the community.
Well, salute to Kate's mom.
Yeah.
Right?
You're amazing, Mom.
You are indeed. Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. It's really, really very fun. And my dad came out for the opening of this studio and helped get us moved over. And like, I'm supported all the way. It's really,
that's so great.
It's really amazing.
So do you ever miss the East Coast or not?
Oh, I do.
You do?
I do.
Okay.
It's, I miss the ocean like most and being so close to like my nuclear family. I have some family down in Aurora, in the Denver area here. And they're amazing, but they're not my nuclear family. So I definitely miss that. I miss how many trees and like the thickness of the forest.
How green it is. Yeah.
So great. How long is green? And I'm truly an ocean girl. I question myself sometimes, like, how did you move to a landlocked state? Like, I needed to be here for many reasons, but especially with the energetic community here and having like people I can learn from, because the East Coast is quite behind in like the energetic world, at least where I'm from. I'm from Williamsburg. So they're getting more progressive, but
So
you had to go. Yeah, you had to go like 45 minutes to go to an acupuncturist.
Damn, really?
When I was there.
Okay.
I'm sure it's better now.
Okay.
But when I was getting into everything, like you had to really work hard to seek alternative therapies and support, and get that. And here it's just everywhere. So that's like one of the reasons I came out. But I definitely miss certain things. I think people are friendlier out here in general.
Oh, hands down. Yeah.
Like when I first came out, some random person at a Starbucks was like, "Hey, let's be friends, and I love your shoes, and let's just chat and have coffee together." And I was like, this is confusing.
Yeah, right.
Like, let me hold my purse a little closer. Like,
yeah.
do you have positive intentions?
Yeah.
You're kind of like me, but I don't understand, because like I'm usually the weirdo.
Yeah.
But so I think like people are way more friendly and open in certain ways
by
out
far,
here.
by far.
But yeah, I definitely do miss like being so close to the ocean, having it so accessible, being able to.
You got horse tooth. I mean, it's not the ocean.
There are bodies of water here. There are ways to get like a water fix, but
it's not the same.
It's not the same.
And that water cold.
It's so cold. You gotta like stay on top of it, unless it's like the dead of summer in like a cove.
Right. So I guess you don't do cold plunges. No.
I did do them before my head injury, but before
sucks.
those extra spinal injuries, but my nervous system does not like cold therapy. No.
It's heat beneficial.
For the win.
I'm sorry, go ahead. My bad.
For me, heat for the win, that's all.
Yeah.
But it can be very beneficial, especially because it helps with like stress tolerance and people learning how to deal with stress tolerance. But my system's already stressed, so it just needs nurturing.
Oh, jeez.
So we just nurture our system and take care of all of it instead. But no, I know there's a big cold plunge community here.
Oh, it is.
Yeah.
And they try to recruit me. I'm like, no. I did it once. I said, nope.
They invite me frequently. Some of them are part of this community, and it's great. Like, I think they like organize little plunges all the time, and I think it's awesome.
It's great, but I'm not doing it.
I'm not doing it either. Like,
hell no.
No, polar plunge.
Especially this time of the year. No thanks.
No, thank you.
Jeez.
That's just
so I was going to ask this too. Okay. Since you've been living out here for a while, do you feel like as a person you have grown a lot spiritually, physically, mentally compared to when you was out in Virginia?
Yes. In Virginia, even in the yoga realm, I came into it through this program called Yoga Fit, which does touch base on energetics and does touch base on some of the bigger concepts, but it's very physically oriented. And when I came out here, it was like 2012. I did a Tantra immersion, and the Tantra, word Tantra means to weave or to loom. And that really opened my doors to like how deep the river runs. And because it weaves like literally every aspect of life into wholeness. And so like you can't separate all these different aspects, whereas before I didn't quite have that integrative mindset. And it just opened up like the rabbit hole that you could go down as far as energetics and like learning about the myths and the deity figures and how they're like these big symbols for energy that we already possess. And it just opened up a lot of doors. And then here you meet different types of practitioners and different divination, different intuitives. Everywhere you go, it's like really hard to not run into something new.
Mm-hmm.
And so me being me, I just want to be open to it all and kind of realize like we all have different access points and we all have different gifts. So I think I've learned a lot. Again, coming from that East Coast, very medical background to like wow, look at this whole wealth of information. And, trying to learn from Native Americans and indigenous people and like their culture and their practices, and just really soaking in like how rich life is and how intertwined everything is. This has been a really great space for me to learn that.
Nah, that's pretty incredible. I mean, I'm pretty much the same way. I'm trying to just like grow and evolve as much as I can and just be open as much as I can be.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like the moment you put a lid on it, you're just capping your capacity to live.
Absolutely.
Like, I don't know. I mean, I think the more I learn that I know nothing.
Yeah, for sure.
It's like the little scratch on the surface. Yeah. And you're like, wow. I like, I'm good at what I do, but I can always learn more, like.
Absolutely.
Like life will always give you more lessons if you're open to them.
Well, the more we live, the more we learn, right?
Exactly.
So where is the other people, like the Reiki master and the masseuse? Where they not here today, are they?
No, not today. They mostly work on appointment or with their classes.
Okay.
They'll be here tomorrow.
Okay.
We're doing like a intention, like boost your intentions for the new year event. So it's another one kind of like we did that you came to, where we'll have like cider and tea and hang out, and you can come and go, and then everything is donation tomorrow, so that people can access it. But there's a Reiki practitioner, Jean, I think is who you worked with. She'll be back.
Yes. Yeah, she was cool.
She's amazing. And then our massage therapist, Jessie, will be back
with the glasses. Yeah, I remember her too.
And then we have a new tarot reader. I think her brand is like the Star Tarot. She's coming in to do readings tomorrow. And then Asa Rose is an awesome hypnotist in town doing a hypnotic meditation to help people get their subconscious aligned with their conscious mind. So she's doing an hour.
Interesting.
Yeah, an hour intentional meditation and hypnosis to help people make their new year better.
So have you ever had a hypnosis done?
Yes. Yep.
So you believe in it?
I believe that people who want to be hypnotized can be hypnotized.
Okay.
And Ines is really great at describing it as well. We have two other hypnotists on staff. One does quantum hypnosis, one does more like empowerment hypnosis, and Isa does a little bit of everything, but is especially committed to like the trans community and helping with transitioning and being supported through all of like, unfortunately, the horrible treatment that people get, and the adversity that people experience, and getting over some of those traumas and really taking their life back and accepting both their past and their future. But she does lots of hypnosis, and so this one's focused on intention and helping people get their subconscious on board with their conscious mind. Basically, we have all of these different pathways, and your subconscious processes like 20 million plus things a second. Your conscious mind processes like 40. So if you consciously have a goal that goes against all of your programming and survival mindset, you will be at odds with yourself. And hypnosis, from what I've experienced, is you have to want to follow their voice and want to let yourself change what the subconscious is saying, and what it's responding to. And so if you want it and you have the desire and need for it, then it will take you there. None of our hypnotists do like stage, like, let's make you cluck like a chicken.
I was going to ask about that.
Like that's what a lot of people, found funny or, like used to bring it into the world. So I think a lot of people think of that, but ultimately it's like a different way to access some of that deeper meditative work. The goal is to really get you down into like theta and delta brainwaves so that you can change a lot that's happening under the surface. So it actually works with your conscious mind.
Interesting.
And creates, ties back into like heart rate coherence. Have you heard of that? Heart rate coherence training? Mm-hmm. So it actually helps you like build coherence so that your heart, your mind, and your subconscious are all saying the same thing instead of being at odds with each other. It's really, really cool.
So it's really effective like this. So she don't have a watch where she make you look at it and then snap.
No.
Okay.
She uses some snaps. She'll use sound cues, and the sound of her voice, to help kind of reinforce going deeper and deeper and deeper into your subconscious. But no, she doesn't use the watch. But the watch kind of comes in because it helps your left and right brain start to sync up. And like, it's kind of like the light in EMDR. Have you ever had EMDR therapy?
No, I have not.
Well, EMDR will either have you like watch a light, or it'll have like sensors that bounce back and forth between your hands, because that cross body motion helps your brain actually communicate with itself better. But she usually does a closed eye meditation and hypnosis.
Wow.
So you can be seated or you can be laying down. It's however you're comfortable, so that you can go deeper and kind of get yourself out of alpha or beta brainwaves. Kind of dealing with alpha's more creative, but beta is like our stress management, like problem solving. A lot of people get stuck in beta, and that can be why they are like anxious. And it teaches you how to get lower and lower so you can access different parts of yourself. It's really cool.
Huh. Okay. I'm really intrigued by that. I want to like try that one day.
Yeah, you should. She's fabulous. And then Genesis Dion and Trisha Tate are two other awesome hypnotherapy practitioners that work out of this space too.
Damn, you got everything going on.
We try to.
A separate restaurant.
I want it to be like a little one-stop shop. If you need some support, we've got it for you.
Yeah, there you go.
You know, there are things that we'll refer out for, but we definitely try to have a pretty holistic net and different tools, because everybody needs a slightly different way to access things.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Well, like I said, the energy here is great. It's very positive, and it's very welcoming.
Thank you. That's my goal. So thank you.
Absolutely.
I appreciate
the air, the plants.
All the plants.
Yeah.
I'm a crazy plant lady now. Can't have enough plants.
Yeah, that's awesome.
They help. They really help.
Yeah, this is cool.
We're supposed to be in nature.
And the location is nice as well.
Thank you.
It get kind of busy on the street, especially about 5 o'clock.
Yeah, you can always go in the back way.
That's true.
There's
I forgot about
way.
that.
Yeah, you can take Swallow to Ring Neck's the one that we're off of.
Yes.
Ring Neck and Red Wing, I think.
Well, I realized that when they had construction going on, they had that was bad. But I had to take the other way, and I said, I didn't know you come this way. So yeah,
it's a little sneaky.
It is.
Anytime like around traffic hot spots, you take the back way. It's so much more pleasant.
Oh yeah, and then with the train, it gets pretty bad.
Yeah, for the first time in my life, I live on the same side of the train tracks as my studio, and I'm so happy about it. There's like no schedule here, so you know it's really hard to figure out when the train's gonna come.
Oh, I know it sucks.
And you know, if you don't have like an extra 45 minutes in case you get stuck behind the train.
Oh, God, no.
It's so miserable. But you know, if you're on the right side, it's not so bad.
They need to build like an elevated bridge.
That would be really lovely.
You know what I mean? Like that, it makes a difference.
Over the train.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It makes a big difference, but because like that train, it slow everybody down.
Everybody.
And think about it, if you in an ambulance or you have like a Mercy, you pretty much done until the train leaves.
Yeah, you're stuck. Yeah.
Wow.
And you hope you have the right support on board.
I know. Good Lord.
Too complicated.
Yeah. Well, Kate, this has been a great conversation. It really has opened up my mind a lot more to different things. Yeah. And you're very informative.
Thank you.
For
That's
sure.
my goal. I think people should have this information and these tools.
You know your shit.
Yeah. I try to.
Yeah. I mean, you're doing really good.
Thank you.
Yeah. So I definitely want to come through again real soon and check out some of that stuff, because I think it'd be good for me as well.
Yeah.
Because I have my own traumas as well.
Yeah. We all do.
Yeah. Oh, yes, Lord.
Yeah. It's all about figuring out how to work with them. So
absolutely.
Thank you for having me.
Oh, absolutely. Anytime.
Wonderful to be able to share.
Anytime.
And hopefully be able to help somebody who's listening. So I really appreciate the opportunity.
Oh, some people that follow me, they will love this for sure.
I'm glad.
Oh, yeah.
And if you have questions, you can email me through our website, livebeyondlimit.com. Keep it basic. And I'm happy to help with all of that.
And do you have a social media you want people to follow you on as far as like professional?
We keep it basic. Okay. It's all Live Beyond Limit. So whether it's Facebook or Instagram, it's just at Live Beyond Limit.
No TikTok, huh?
No, I'm not on TikTok.
Okay.
Not on TikTok.
No TikTok video.
Just Instagram and Facebook. I think technically we have like a I don't know. Is it even Twitter now? What is it now? I don't
I
know.
don't
We
know what.
used
Yeah,
to
it's
have
something.
something. I don't know. But those are the only ones I'm really active on. So I wouldn't go anywhere else trying to find
What
those.
Twitter sucks to me. I'm sorry.
I think
I
it
hate
does.
it.
I didn't really like it.
No, I tried to use it a long time when I was doing music and stuff, and it just sucked. I didn't
People
like it.
pushed it really hard on me, and I'm like,
Mm-mm.
no. Like
No,
word of mouth is honestly like our best way to reach people.
absolutely.
So I never really got big on those, but I do. We do have a really active Instagram and Facebook, and we do try to put a lot of accessible information for people who can't make it into the studio to learn about some of these things. And there are a couple of like free resource guides and things that people can access for like stress, anxiety, and hormone management and things like that because I think people should have access.
Yeah,
So you can always reach out on those modalities as well.
I've messed up real quick. I'm going to ask you this question.
Okay.
What is your goal when it comes to this? No, scratch that. What do you see yourself in the next 5 years?
Well, I'm working towards having a retreat center.
Oh,
Yeah, I really would like to be at the ocean a lot more. Like I'm
I
an
can see
ocean
that
girl.
now.
I'm an
Okay.
ocean girl. I wanted like a diverse like permaculture um, eco retreat center. So basically, my goal is to find property that I can create like a community with and help the local communities with, so that people who can come out and access either work trade or I want a diverse kind of options for people to stay, whether it's like a community space or a private experience, because sometimes like getting out of your life is the most impactful thing that you can do, to really be able to examine what your lifestyle is and realize like how you can make those big changes. And retreats have been like pivotal for my capacity to thrive. Just offering them, seeing the immense changes that happen for people in a single week or even a weekend. So I really want to add that into what we're doing and not just use other people's retreat centers, but have one that other people can come use, but that I can be at all the time selfishly for the ocean.
Okay, yeah.
So that's one of the things that I see. And then community involvement's just a really big thing. So we're working on creating some partnerships within the community and with different nonprofits in the community to really just bring a lot more education and awareness to the things that people have to go through. We work with like some of the Suicide Alliance and the there are a few different individuals that serve the gay community, and serve underprivileged communities that we're really trying to connect with and figure out where we can fill gaps and bring more of what we do to those communities, because knowledge is power. Power can change your life, and we want that support to really spread outward so people don't feel so alone.
So, do you feel like Fort Collins does a pretty good job with making people feel included? Well, inclusive.
I think there are beautiful pockets of Fort Collins, and I feel like we can grow a lot. Even for me in the last year or two, like my mind has been open to how much better I can do, and how more inclusive that I can be in my teaching and the words that I use and how we use media to portray everything so that inclusion and representation is happening, because it's like differences are everywhere, and we really should celebrate what that is. But if you don't know how. And so bringing that information up front would be, I think, will continue to be a very important thing and a very important conversation in Fort Collins.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, me personally, I feel like it does okay for the most part, especially compared to like some of the southern towns that I've been to.
Way more inclusive than the South.
Oh yeah, that's for sure.
Yeah, I think there's willful ignorance, and I think Fort Collins is trying to be better.
Yeah,
on both a city-wide, like governmental level and
absolutely
structural community level.
And we see when I speak about inclusivity, I'm not even talking about just race. I mean even just with ideologies as well.
Yeah,
because all of us have different backgrounds, different experiences, and we have a different philosophical ideas.
Yeah, and we could all learn from each other.
Yeah,
I strive to learn from other people. Like I know that my life is like this much of the pie, and everybody's vantage point is so important. So I hope that the conversation can continue and we can be a more inclusive and open-minded community that supports people.
I think you got it.
Thanks.
I really think you're doing it.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're doing a fantastic job.
I appreciate it.
Yeah. Very embracive, welcoming, the whole nine.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're gonna do some big things.
That's my goal.
I think so. I really feel it.
That's my goal.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Next 5 years on your own retreat.
Yeah.
Okay, sweet.
Yeah, I would like to see that.
Sweet. Do you have like a specific area you want to go to on the beach? Back to Virginia, Florida, California.
Honestly, I've been looking at Costa Rica.
Okay.
Their property taxes are beautiful.
Cheaper, huh? Okay, that's cool.
And their climate is more ideal for my composition.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense.
I've offered a few retreats there, and like the people are just amazing. The culture is amazing. The government works hard to be sustainable, like to create sustainable changes. They're one of the happiest countries in the world. It's a little cliche, but it's a really, I really, yeah, you gotta visit. And it's really great. I don't want to ruin them by saying everybody should go visit them, but it's just a really nice climate and experience. And whether or not we find the property there, the right property there, yet, or if we find something in the States before, I'm not sure, but that's my eventual goal. I would love jungle, mountains, and water. I want it all.
Hey, well, you can do it.
Yeah.
You got your mind set on it.
Yeah.
Put that front foot forward and make those steps happen.
Yeah, and it's just, it will be amazing.
I'm excited for you.
Thanks.
Yeah, I want to see this come to fruition.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Wow.
We'll have you out. Maybe you can do a podcast from there.
That'd be dope.
Yeah.
I would love to.
Yeah.
That'd be great because hopefully by that time, like I will have like better camera and people working for me.
Right. Yeah. Delegation.
Yeah.
Nice.
Exactly.
Not to wear every hat of your own business.
Oh, because I'm doing everything.
Yeah.
The music,
That's huge.
everything. Yeah.
Well, it's how you get started though.
Well, the music I did it years ago, but it still sounds dope, and I said I'm just gonna use it.
That's great.
Yeah.
Yeah. If it's working.
Yeah, it works. People like it.
Yeah. There you go.
Haven't had no complaints. So not yet, at least.
Good.
But yeah, this, like I said, this has been a great conversation once again, and I got to check out some of those classes and the hypnosis thing. I've always been intrigued by that, so I got to do that for sure.
Totally.
But yeah, this is Kate at Live Beyond Limit. Do you have like a special thanks or anything you want to say before we get done?
I think I said it.
You said a lot, didn't you?
Yeah. I think I did say a lot. Just come on out. I strive to make you feel welcome here in the community. And if you have questions, please feel free to send them to me. I am here to hopefully help guide you or support you in any way that I can. And just thanks for having me.
Hey, you're very welcome. And she's very sincere, people. Okay. All right. Well, stay tuned in for the next episode. Thanks for tuning in. Let's Talk with Patrick podcast. Peace.